Right, so 8 new board members have been appointed to the SABC board. We were trying to speak to earlier the chair of the Committee on Communications in Parliament, Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize, joins us on the line from Pretoria now. Professor, thank you very much. I was trying to ask you about these candidates. Just tell us about them in light of the fact that South Africans are desperate for a really professional, super SABC board.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. We all appreciate the fact that the president has appointed a strong board. He kept the previous chair, who remained at the time when they were not correcting, Makhathini. But brought on board the deputy chair as Mamodupi Mohlala-Mulaudzi, whom I think is well known to almost all South Africans. She's a very strong woman, independent mind, also highly skilled in terms of governance, policy, legal, so she's going to really strengthen the board. I'm just mentioning those two, but we also have David Maimela, who is young, but also is going to bring some strength to the board, and also Professor Van Cooper, who is an internationalist, a scientist, highly knowledgeable with a broad experience in these boards. And really, Dr. Mashia Sotikwa also brings some strengths as an academic, but also a person who has written and served in different capacities in the state-owned entities. And of course, Papaya, Yasmin Patel, and so on. So we think the president got us a very strong board, and we are confident that they will stabilize the SABC.
The president was criticised for delaying rubber stamping the appointments that Parliament had approved of already. Media monitoring groups wanted to go to court over that issue. Do you think he delayed?
I think the president had to apply his mind. Remember the history of the SABC. He asked quite a number of questions. He wanted information on candidates. And we really appreciated the fact that he took full responsibility. Because if he didn't do that, there would be a risk of him rubber stamping without critically looking at each and every candidate.
There was a relational issue. The communications minister and the previous board members had a somewhat antagonistic relationship, according to media reports. And that wasn't universal. There were different reasons for the previous resignations. But talking about that relational issue, do you think it can be addressed or amended going forward with this new team?
I think this is a strong team. Whom I believe will defend the values and the principles of any board, especially vis-a-vis the shareholder. I have no doubt that they will engage fearlessly, and so also during interviews, that aspect was canvassed a lot. That when people get on board and they tend to rubber stamp decisions, they kill the entity completely. And so most of them really spoke about their own history, their names, their track record, where they stood up, where they felt that governance was compromised, or they were expected to act in a loyal manner without defending what was core of the entity itself.
Coming back to the time it took for the president to rubber stamp this, there's been speculation in the past that the reason for some of the exodus of previous board members was due to the fact that they were very independent. Some commentators believing that government is actually threatened by a very independent SABC board. Are you willing to comment on whether that is a factor for us right now?
Let's take, for instance, the interaction the committee had with the previous board. I wouldn't say there were resignations because government wanted them to compromise and they stood their ground, and as a result, they resigned. In my view, sometimes we get board members coming from different backgrounds without a proper orientation. Then people tend to get entangled to side issues like conflicts around procurement, and some get too close to executive roles. There are all sorts of issues that with this board, we hope when the sixth parliament, starts, we'll have to ensure that they are assisted so as to avoid the repeat of the mistakes of the past.
And there is an investigation into what you're alluding to there. A final quick question for you. Can the SABC's finances now be dealt with?
Well, if the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Communication have not finalized an agreement, then I would say it should have been done yesterday, because the committee was clear, was consistent in terms of saying if we want the board to play its role, the first thing is to ensure that they are adequately financed. And then that will give them an opportunity to focus on the task at hand, to reposition the SABC.
All right, thank you very much. Chair of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Communications, Professor Hlengiwe Mkhize, with us on the line.